So day 2 of my visit to London. I've got 3 locations to shoot today. The first one being here at St Paul's Cathedral. Then I'm going to be moving on to the city area where you've got the Gherkin and the Lloyd's building, Tower 42, that sort of thing. They're both locations I actually cover on my city photo walks in London, so I know there's some really good viewpoints to do of those. Starting off here, there's 3 locations or viewpoints that I know look good of St Paul's, which are probably just a bit away from the touristy shots from the front, so they make good alternatives. So let's crack on and I'll show you just what those are. So I've come to this first viewpoint around the back of the cathedral, as I say, slightly away from the touristy hotspot of the front, where there'll be loads of people mingling around. Come to this little garden, little peace haven here, in front of an office building. So it makes a nice alternative. You've got lots of greenery here, which is good. But what I like most about this location is the wall here that you can use as foreground. A lovely curved shape to it, and obviously that end piece kind of mirrors the shape of the dome up there. So nice foreground feature. So it's just a case of framing it up and placing it centrally at the bottom of the frame so it's in line with the cathedral. And you'll notice on here that there is these kind of little buttons on the wall. I'm not sure what they signify, if anything, but they can be part of the composition. Even though they're very tiny, their importance in the frame is quite significant. So it's a case of placing them in just the right part of the frame at the bottom left, and they have a little bit of an impact in the shot. It's funny how they can achieve that. Anyway, I'm framing the shot up vertically. I'm using a 0.9 soft grad, as I have done for most of this trip to London, because I just want to balance that brighter sky, because obviously it's quite shady down here in this garden, so I want to balance that brighter sky and the dome with a freestop grad. But again, it has to be the soft grad, because obviously the dome is poking into the sky as well, and we don't want to have any sort of graduation line over the dome, so that's why we use a soft grad. So I'm framing this up as a vertical shot, and it's just going up and getting up and down for the height level to frame it, because obviously we don't want the wall to encroach over the garden too much, but we don't want too much space there. So it's getting the right amount of space between the wall, the garden, and the cathedral. Sorry, that's me putting my hand over the viewfinder, switching off the screen. But allowing enough depth in the picture there to make a nice composition. Okay, viewpoint number 2 is from the One New Chain shopping centre, again behind St Paul's Cathedral. There's a lovely shot to do here with the windows of the shops leading down either side. We've framed around St Paul's Cathedral there. I'm actually going to just tilt the camera right up and just capture the dome at the bottom of the frame, something like that. So you get a real sweep of the windows coming in with just a patch of lovely blue sky now coming in through the centre. So that's a nice wide angle shot, probably about a 12mm lens, and because I've got the blue sky now, I probably wouldn't have to use a filter on here. The windows can go slightly dark, I'm not too bothered about that, and it's catching some of the clouds in the window, so that makes a nice little reflection, but it's a really dramatic shot there. again, away from the touristy hotspot and something a bit different. So our third and final viewpoint of St Paul's is a stunning new viewpoint, this time from the top of that same shopping centre, one new change or exchange or whatever it's called, rooftop terrace with lovely views over London, almost at dome level up here. So I think I'm going to frame this one up, not just looking over the barriers to St Paul's, because actually it needs something else. It needs that, again, that foreground feature. So if there's any people up here, which there isn't, there seems to be only one up here at the moment, there were some people coming out, but it's possible they could even use some of them looking onto St Paul's as an added feature in the picture. It's always good to use people. There's lots of people in London, so if you can use them to your benefit, there's no harm in include them in your compositions. But I'm going to try and frame this up with this barrier, because it's got a bit of an angular, interesting shape, so I think I might just add a bit of foreground using that in my shot. That sky's looking really nice now, so I'm putting a polarizer on, and as you can see, as I rotate it, the sky really darkens and those clouds really become more defined. Adds loads of impact to the picture. Okay, I've moved up into the city area now. Come to do the 3 main skyscrapers up here. And first up is Tower 42, one of the older of the skyscrapers in this area. So this is my first viewpoint of this building. Just walked down the street from Bank, and I like the older buildings on either side. You've got a slightly darker toned older building on the right with the sun shining on the one on the left, both sort of framing Tower 42, formerly known as the NatWest Tower, right down the middle. Nice blue sky behind it. Yeah, it looks really nice. So as I continue to walk down the street here, more of the buildings coming into view, but you've also got some of the other buildings. I think that's the Heron Tower over there on the left. So we can frame that slightly differently. I think I'm going to keep walking and probably get the sun just behind the tower so it doesn't end up total silhouette. Perhaps capture the sun on the edge of the building for a bit of impact there. Another famous building now, the Lloyd's building, with its futuristic design. I like this one, apart from just looking up to it, which is a classic kind of view. I like the view looking across the street here. You've got the Leadenhall building behind me. So if I just step back a few steps, they've got these bollards here, obviously security bollards, but I like the way they add a bit of foreground interest to the shot. And moving back even further, you've got the shape of the Leadenhall building frontage with its own girders and own canopy shape, all adding interesting additions to complement the building beyond. Right, then moving round to the side street. This is the classic view looking up to the Lloyd's building. Many ways to frame this and compose this. The addition of the building on the left-hand side there with its lovely sweep and curve. The really nice thing about this shot is you just have to turn round and you get your first glimpse of the Gherkin, which again is the classic view from here with the church underneath for that old versus new composition. And then moving around again to the other side of the Lloyd's building, probably my favourite view of of this with its steel staircase. And you get another glimpse of the Gherkin there through the mix of buildings. So lots of interesting shapes through here, and you can almost shoot pointing straight up with a wide-angle lens, really exaggerate the perspective of the buildings here. And finally here, the Gherkin. Two views to do from underneath here. The classic view looking up to its quite extraordinary shape, and then moving over a bit closer across the road to do an abstract of the crisscross pattern across its entrance hall. There's also an interesting lamppost here. It can also be used, especially if you use a fisheye, similar to the ones I'm shooting with here. Makes an interesting viewpoint looking up with that and the surrounding buildings in the shop.